Andy, every once in a while, Aaron would come down to the set and say, the show's running a little short.
The Andy Griffith Show may have gone off the air in 1968, but that hasn't stopped people from loving it and remaining curious about all the behind-the-scenes antics. Join us as we explore everything there is to know about the Andy Griffith Show and its talented cast members. As now at 70, Ron Howard finally reveals what we've all been curious about, from set secrets to the relationships among the stars, who disliked whom and why, to what happened after the series ended. Which moment did Ron Howard dislike the most, or whether he hates anyone on set? Keep watching to find out. The Andy Griffith Show, an iconic American sitcom, starred Andy Griffith and Don Knotts. It aired for 8 seasons on CBS from October 3, 1960 to April 1, 1968. The first 159 episodes were broadcast in black and white, while the last 90 episodes were in color. Throughout its run, the show consistently ranked high in the Nielsen ratings, never falling below 7th place and holding the #1 spot when it ended. Set in the fictional town of Mayberry, North Carolina, the Andy Griffith Show focused on Sheriff Andy Taylor, played by Andy Griffith. The sheriff's wise and common-sense approach to life and law enforcement always managed to thwart the petty criminals causing trouble in his town. Much of his effort was devoted to protecting the townsfolk from becoming victims of their own follies. The show cleverly taps into popular stereotypes of rural and small-town life. Mayberry is predominantly inhabited by folks embodying the simplicity often associated with country living. Characters like gas station attendant Gomer Pyle, portrayed by Jim Nabors, and the town drunk Otis, played by Hal Smith, add to the charm. Otis's routine of locking himself in jail after a drinking spree and letting himself out when he's sober became a familiar part of the show. Sheriff Taylor's eager but clumsy cousin, Deputy Barney Fife, portrayed by Don Knotts, serves as his hapless sidekick. Barney's well-intentioned yet misguided tactics often worsen the situations they face. Knotts' portrayal earned him 4 Emmy Awards before he left the show in 1965, replaced by Jack Burns. The show frequently delves into Taylor's role as a single parent to his son, Opie, played by Ron Howard, who loves fishing. Another recurring concern is Taylor's supervision of his unmarried aunt and housekeeper, Aunt Bee, portrayed by Frances Bavier. The Andy Griffith Show was part of a broader trend in 1960s television, which emphasized comedic and lighthearted country themes and characters. The series spawned 2 spin-offs, Gomer Pyle, USMC, which aired from 1964 to 1969, and Mayberry RFD, which ran from 1968 to 1971. It was a mix of drama on TV and behind-the-scenes shenanigans. Even though the Andy Griffith Show ended in 1968, it still holds a special place in people's hearts, with fans remaining curious about the off-screen antics. Surprisingly, the wholesome 60s classic had its fair share of mischief, often instigated by none other than the show's lead, Andy Griffith. What was Andy like? He was quite the prankster. Despite portraying the straight-laced character on screen, Griffith had a mischievous side. One of his favorite tricks was to wake up his co-star Don Knotts from a nap by dropping a metal film canister onto the floor. But Andy wasn't the only one who fell victim to pranks. George Goober Lindsay once discovered duck guts strung around his dressing room, courtesy of Griffith. And the cast got their revenge by stealing Andy's shoes, leaving him no choice but to wear his oversized sheriff boots home from the studio. The good-natured humor among the cast spilled over into the show's episodes. In one memorable instance from the Runaway Kid episode, Opie and his friends played a prank on Sheriff Taylor by moving his car in front of a fire hydrant, setting him up for a parking ticket. Here are fun facts about the show that will inspire you to binge-watch this timeless series again. The opening song was written in 15 minutes. One of the most iconic TV theme songs belongs to The Andy Griffith Show. For years, many of us recognized it simply as a catchy whistle without realizing it had lyrics or even a title. But guess what? It does, and it's called Fishin' Hole. The lyrics are just as charming as the whistled melody. And who better to sing it than the show's star? That's right. Andy Griffith himself originally performed the opening song. Griffith recorded a full version of the theme, which was composed in under 15 minutes by Herbert Spencer and Earl Hagen. Everett Sloane, known for his work on themes like The Dick Van Dyke Show and I Spy, penned the lyrics for Fishin' Hole, aiming for simplicity to match the show's wholesome nature. Andy and Don were pals in real life. Andy Griffith and Don Knotts were inseparable, both on and off the screen. Their enduring bond traces back to the mid-1950s when fate brought them together in New York City during the production of the Broadway play No Time for Sergeants. Don made his Broadway debut portraying Corporal Manuel Dexterity, sharing the stage with Andy, who played the lead role of the country bumpkin Will Stockdale. Their camaraderie stood the test of time, transcending decades. Even in Don Knotts' final days in 2006, Andy remained by his side, a testament to their unwavering friendship. Their connection was as genuine as it gets in Hollywood, making them a legendary duo for the ages. Andy Griffith never was comfortable with on-screen romance. Throughout the show's run, Andy had various romantic interests, but his first on-screen love affair was with Ellie Walker, played by Eleanor Donahue. Ellie, a newcomer to town, worked in her uncle's drugstore. Eleanor Donahue appeared in 12 episodes as pharmacist Ellie Walker, even earning a mention in the opening credits. Initially intended as a romantic interest for Sheriff Andy Taylor, Eleanor requested to be released from her 3-year contract after just 1 season. Her decision stemmed from a lack of chemistry with Andy Griffith. Griffith himself acknowledged his difficulty in expressing affection on screen, resulting in a relationship that felt insincere. Consequently, Eleanor's character vanished from the show without explanation. Opie didn't actually throw the rock in the lake. During the filming of the Andy Griffith Show's opening credits in the summer of 1960 at Franklin Canyon near Beverly Hills, there was a hiccup. The scene required Andy and Opie to stroll along a dirt road with their fishing gear and for Opie to toss a rock into the water. However, 6-year-old Ron Howard, who played Opie, couldn't quite manage the throw as well as he could deliver lines. Given Ron's age and strength limitations, the crew had to improvise. Their solution? A clever prop man hid in the bushes and skillfully tossed the rock into the water at just the right moment, creating the illusion that Opie had thrown it. It was a prime example of television magic in action. The real reason Barney Fife never really showed up after season 5. When the show initially debuted, Andy Griffith shared with Don Knotts and the rest of the cast his intention for the series to last only 5 seasons. Consequently, everyone signed contracts for that duration. As the 5th season approached its end, Don began exploring other opportunities and promptly secured a deal with Universal for 5 films. However, the plans took a turn when sponsors and network executives convinced Andy to reconsider, leading to the unexpected continuation of the show beyond its originally intended duration. It ended up extending not just for a 6th season, but also for a 7th and 8th, much to everyone's surprise. Don Knotts was sent bullets of all kinds. A recurring gag in the Andy Griffith Show revolves around Barney Fife's inability to carry more than 1 bullet in his gun. This safety measure stemmed from Andy's concern that Barney might accidentally harm himself or others if given full access to ammunition. As a result, Andy often limited Barney to just 1 bullet, which he frequently had to confiscate. In a humorous twist, fans of the show nationwide empathized with Barney's predicament and sent actor Don Knotts real bullets as a playful nod to the ongoing joke. It served as both a teasing jab and a heartwarming gesture of affection. Who knew? Perhaps they were sending a bullet for my Valentine. Many cars were used in the show. Just as music was integral to the Andy Griffith Show, cars also held significant importance. Some of the show's best episodes revolved around the vehicles and the characters driving them. Throughout its 9-year run, the show showcased numerous impressive cars, with Griffith's cop cars consistently being Ford Galaxy 500 sedans. As the series progressed, Ford vehicles became increasingly prominent, likely due to a sponsorship from Ford Motor Company. With each new model release, the company supplied the show with a car, resulting in a total of 10 cars over the course of the series, averaging more than 1 car per season. Don Knotts' favorite episode was the Pickle episode. The Pickle story holds a special place in fans' hearts, and it's easy to see why. It's consistently ranked as the #1 favorite episode of the entire series. Despite Aunt Bee's culinary skills, her attempt at making pickles fell short of expectations. The batch turned out less than appetizing, drawing criticism from Clara Johnson, a seasoned pickle champion, who pointed out several flaws. Too heavy on the brine, lacking parsley in the vinegar, using old, soft cucumbers, stale spices, and insufficient boiling of the vinegar. Barney and Andy found themselves in a pickle of their own, forced to discreetly dispose of as many jars as possible, unwilling to break Aunt Bee's heart by admitting the truth about the taste. Don Knotts later revealed how much fun it was to film this episode, undoubtedly contributing to the laughter it generated among viewers. Nickname on and off the screen. Nicknames are pretty common in showbiz, and even Andy Griffith himself wasn't immune to them. Throughout the series, Barney affectionately referred to Andy as Ange. Don Knotts came up with this nickname as a playful fusion of Andy's first and last names, Andy and Griffith. He grew quite attached to it and would use it almost instinctively during filming, paying homage to the actor behind the character. This little nugget of info might have slipped past many viewers as some mistook Ange for And. But what's even more interesting is that Knotts used the same nickname for Griffith off-screen as well, a stroke of brilliance. Howard McNear, known for his role as Floyd the Barber, faced significant challenges on set following a debilitating stroke during the series. Due to his difficulty standing, the show's creators devised a clever solution to assist him in his role. They crafted props for Howard to lean on during his scenes, creating the illusion of him standing upright. A specially designed stool was also utilized to give the appearance that Floyd was standing, although he was actually half sitting or leaning. Additionally, Floyd was frequently depicted sitting in his barber chair or on a bench outside his shop. The stroke also resulted in paralysis on Howard's left side. If you pay close attention to later episodes, you'll notice that Floyd never moves his left hand. Don Knotts' suit became a favorite. In nearly every formal scene of the show, Barney Fife could be seen sporting his signature salt and pepper suit, complete with a red bow tie and a white hat. This outfit was Barney's go-to for special occasions, whether it was dances, social gatherings, or romantic outings. It remained a staple throughout the entire series, making its debut in the episode Irresistible Andy. Don Knotts, who portrayed Barney, grew so fond of the suit that he even wore it in several feature-length films, including The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, The Reluctant Astronaut, The Incredible Mr. Limpet, and How to Frame a Fig. Andy and Annetta had a little fling of their own. Portraying on-screen lovers sparked a bit of real-life chemistry between Andy Griffith and Annetta Corsott, who played Helen Crump on the show. Initially intended for just one episode, the writers decided to give her character a humorous last name as a playful touch. However, Annetta's outstanding performance unexpectedly made her a favorite among the producers. Annetta also caught the eye of Andy Griffith himself, who reportedly developed feelings for the young actress. Despite Andy being married, rumors circulated about a clandestine romance between them. While kept under wraps on set, the gossip eventually leaked out and spread rapidly. Helen Crump was temporary at first. Annetta Corsott, known for her role as Helen Crump on The Andy Griffith Show, was initially planned to make just a single appearance. As a playful twist, the writers gave her character a humorous last name. However, Annetta's impressive portrayal exceeded expectations, quickly earning her favor with the producers. Rumors swirled about a romantic involvement between Annetta and the married Andy Griffith, who allegedly began an affair with the actress. Additionally, Griffith reportedly insisted that Annetta's character become a series regular for the remainder of the show. It's always February in Floyd's shop. Floyd the barber, known for his leisurely pace and sometimes forgetful demeanor, was a beloved character in the fictional town of Mayberry. He made his debut in episode The Marchand 12, Stranger in Town. As the series progressed, Floyd's significance grew, with actor Howard McNear adjusting his delivery to portray Floyd as increasingly slow and absent-minded. Additionally, Floyd became more integral to the various plot lines as the show evolved. A curious detail in Floyd's barbershop is the perpetually stuck calendar, always displaying the month of February. It's unclear whether this was a deliberate choice to highlight Floyd's forgetfulness or simply an overlooked inconsistency in the set design. Andy owned 50% of the show. Sheldon Leonard, producer of The Danny Thomas Show, along with Danny Thomas himself, enlisted the talents of seasoned comedy writer Arthur Stander to develop a pilot for Andy Griffith. This pilot would feature Griffith as a justice of the peace and newspaper editor in a quaint small town. Griffith, already a well-known figure from Broadway film and radio, expressed interest in trying his hand at television. The William Morris Agency suggested Griffith's rural background and previous roles suited him for the part. Despite primarily focusing on film at the time, Griffith was intrigued by the television opportunity. However, he insisted on owning 50% of the show's rights before committing. After negotiations between Leonard and Griffith in New York, Griffith traveled to Los Angeles to film the pilot episode. By the time of his passing, Andy Griffith's net worth was estimated at around $35 million. Andy broke his hand when he punched a wall. Despite his reputation as a prankster, Andy Griffith had a lesser-known fiery side to his temperament. During the filming of the second season, Griffith's frustration boiled over, leading him to punch a wall. Unfortunately, this outburst resulted in several fractured fingers. Griffith's hand injury not only damaged the set, but also required extensive bandaging to continue filming. To integrate this mishap into the show's storyline, the producers and writers concocted a backstory where Andy sustained the injury while apprehending a group of formidable criminals. This creative solution allowed the bandaged hand to seamlessly blend into the plot of the episode. Don Knotts worked without a contract. Believe it or not, there was a chance Barney Fife might have been a one-episode wonder. When Don Knotts joined the cast, he was among a few without a signed contract on the first day. However, after witnessing his on-screen chemistry with Andy, the producers wasted no time in offering him a one-year deal. It's hard to picture the Andy Griffith Show without the lovable Barney Fife, Floyd retired on and off the screen. Due to ongoing health issues following a stroke, actor Howard McNear was eventually written out of the show. Floyd the barber made his final appearance on the Andy Griffith Show in the last episode of the 7th season. In the storyline, it was revealed that Floyd had retired, having accumulated enough wealth. Tragically, shortly after his departure from the series, Howard passed away. To address the void left by Howard's absence, a new character named Emmett Clark, portrayed by veteran character actor Paul Hartman, was introduced. Emmett, a skilled fix-it man, set up shop in Floyd's former barbershop location in Mayberry, attempting to fill the void left by Floyd's departure. Andy and Barney were originally cousins. In the early episodes of the series, Andy and Barney jokingly referred to each other as cousins, poking fun at the tradition of small-town government positions being handed out to relatives. However, as their chemistry on screen became evident, their relationship was reimagined as that of childhood friends. Throughout the series, the writers inserted hints to suggest that Barney may not actually be directly related to the Taylors. For instance, in the episode Aunt Bee's Invisible Boyfriend, Barney remarks to Andy about Aunt Bee, "If she were my aunt, I'd want to investigate this fella, indicating no familial ties to the Taylors. Additionally, in porch dialogues, Barney discusses buying his folks a septic tank for their anniversary, with Andy not referring to them as aunt and uncle. Aunt B herself reminded Andy on several occasions that Barney was your friend, implying no blood relation to either of them. In the episode Cousin Virgil, Andy meets Barney's backward cousin, who clearly isn't related to the sheriff. Despite any genetic connections, Andy and Barney are depicted as best friends who grew up together in Mayberry. Andy was originally intended to be the comic. When the show first debuted, the original plan was for Andy Griffith to take on the role of the comedic lead, cracking jokes and providing the humor while the other characters played straight roles. However, once Don Knotts showcased his innate comedic talent, it became clear that Barney should be the funny man opposite Andy's straight man. The dynamic worked so well that it was decided to reverse the roles, making the show even funnier. As Andy Griffith recalled in various interviews, he quickly realized by the second episode that Don Knotts was better suited for the comedic role, while he himself should play the straight man. Don Knotts also shared a little trick he employed as an actor, rooted in their special chemistry. He mentioned in an interview, "Andy found Barney funny. I think that helped too. I could see sometimes when Andy's eyes were just trying to keep from laughing, which would help me try and make it even funnier." This mutual appreciation and understanding between the two actors contributed greatly to the success of their on-screen partnership. They quit while they were ahead. To prevent audience fatigue, the producers of The Andy Griffith Show wisely decided to conclude it after the 8th season. Throughout its run, the series consistently ranked highly in the Nielsen ratings, never falling below 7th place. In fact, it achieved the remarkable feat of being one of only 3 shows to end its run at the top of the chart, alongside I Love Lucy and Seinfeld. Additionally, TV Guide has recognized the show's enduring popularity, ranking it as the 9th best and 13th best program in American television history on separate occasions. Although neither Andy Griffith nor the show itself received awards during its 8-season run, co-stars Don Knotts and Frances Bavier earned a combined total of 6 Emmy Awards. Andy and Frances never struck the right chord. Despite the general fondness Andy Griffith and Aunt B shared for each other on screen, their relationship off-screen was quite the opposite. Frances Bavier, who portrayed Aunt B, considered herself a serious dramatic actress and found Andy Griffith's constant joking and pranking irritating. However, years later, Andy and Frances reconciled. Frances reached out to Andy to apologize for the conflicts between them just months before her passing. Fortunately, they were able to mend fences and part on amicable terms. That's the time. Here's an interesting tidbit from history. Throughout the Andy Griffith Show, Andy Griffith frequently used an old Southern phrase, "That's the time." This phrase has multiple meanings, including good, okay, and that's the right thing to do. Incorporating this phrase into the show was a subtle way for Griffith to infuse his Southern roots into the Andy Griffith Show. He also used other Southern expressions, such as nary a thing, meaning I'm not doing anything, and tick a lock, meaning keep your mouth shut. Griffith paid homage to his real father in the intro. When you watch the theme song reel at the beginning of the show, Andy and his son Opie walk to the edge of the lake. This is where Andy gives a nod of approval when the boy throws a rock into the water, which has a secret of its own that you'll find out about later. This simple gesture means so much more than meets the eye. As it turns out, Andy Griffith's actual father would shake his head in the same manner when he showed approval towards Andy. Isn't that sweet? Knotts asked for part ownership of the show, and Griffith declined. When Griffith signed on for the 6th season, Knotts agreed to join as well. But as is often the case, there's a twist in the tale. Decades after Knotts' passing, Andy revealed to Don's manager a private anecdote. He disclosed how Don gradually changed his delivery of Floyd's lines from brisk to slower paced over time. By midway through season 5, Don mentioned to Andy that he'd come back to the sitcom, but with one condition: he wanted a stake in the ownership. While Andy cherished their partnership, he couldn't grant Don's request. Andy and his manager held the lion's share of ownership in the show, leaving Don as a salaried employee without any ownership rights. Despite their close bond, Andy had to turn down his friend's request, resulting in Don's departure from the show. Griffith and Knotts were opposite of their characters in real life. Griffith and Knotts, both hailing from rural backgrounds, found fame as humorists in the 1950s through stand-up comedy. Their collaboration on the Broadway hit No Time for Sergeants further solidified their partnership. Transitioning to television with The Andy Griffith Show, they became an iconic comedy duo, their chemistry evident in perfectly timed exchanges and recurring gags centered around Knotts' memorable neuroticism, countered by Griffith's composed demeanor. While Griffith exuded restraint on screen, Knotts portrayed the goofy Barney with gusto, a contrast to his serious off-screen persona. Quite surprising, isn't it? One of the show's biggest mysteries. Opie, a 6-year-old at the start of the series, resides in the quaint fictional town of Mayberry, North Carolina. His household consists of his widowed father, Andy Taylor, who serves as the sheriff of Mayberry County, and his father's unmarried aunt, affectionately known as Aunt B. Throughout the series, Opie's mother is only mentioned once, in an episode titled Wedding Bells for Aunt B. In a moment of nostalgia, Andy reminisces with Opie about his deep affection for his late wife. Despite this brief mention, viewers never learn more about her or catch a glimpse of her photograph. However, in an episode of The Danny Thomas Show, from which The Andy Griffith Show originated, Andy reveals that she passed away when Opie was just a tiny infant. Ron Howard picks the most hated moment. Despite his fondness for sitcoms, Ron Howard encountered one of the toughest moments in his early television career while filming The Andy Griffith Show. Playing Opie, the lovable red-headed boy on the show, Howard faced a particularly daunting challenge in an episode called The Pickle Story. The storyline revolves around Aunt B, played by Frances Bavier, attempting to make a large batch of pickles, many of which Opie ends up eating. While this might seem like a simple task for most actors, Howard found it exceptionally tough due to his strong dislike for pickles, which he compared to kerosene. Even though he couldn't stand the taste of pickles, Howard's portrayal of Opie's reaction fits seamlessly into the show's narrative. Aunt B's less-than-appetizing pickles required minimal acting from Howard, as his genuine distaste mirrored Opie's experience. Looking back on the episode later in his career, Howard recalled the challenge he faced, admitting, "I absolutely hated pickles. Taking bites of those pickles was a huge ordeal. It was not enjoyable, to say the least. What sticks with me about the pickle episode is just the constant grimacing and wincing. The acting came in trying to pretend I was enjoying the pickles." Ron got along with other cast members, the director of How the Grinch Stole Christmas once noted that his friendly relationship with Griffith mirrored his interactions with the crew. He recalled how his input was respected, even though he was a young actor. While Ron was still refining his acting skills in those early years, he also showed a strong interest in the entire creative process behind the scenes. Where are they now? As we reflect on the remarkable careers of the main actors from The Andy Griffith Show following its iconic run, it's important to honor those who have passed. Among them are Ron Howard, Frances Bavier, Jim Nabors, Annetta Corsaw, Hal Smith, George Lindsay, and, of course, Don Knotts. Yet there's one cast member whose post-series life stands out above all others: director Ron Howard. During his stint on The Andy Griffith Show, Ron Howard showcased his versatility by appearing in other notable projects. He starred in the musical film The Music Man, 1962, and the comedy The Courtship of Eddie's Father, 1963. However, it was his role as Steve Bolander in the iconic coming-of-age film American Graffiti, 1973, that further solidified his reputation. In 1974, Howard skyrocketed to fame with his portrayal of teenager Richie Cunningham in the beloved sitcom Happy Days, which enjoyed a successful 7-year run. Throughout his career, Ron Howard has garnered numerous accolades, including the prestigious National Medal of Arts. His contributions to television earned him a spot in the Television Hall of Fame in 2013, and he boasts 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's safe to say that Opie has made quite a name for himself. Francis Bavier becomes a North Carolinian. After the Andy Griffith Show, Frances Bavier decided to make North Carolina her permanent home instead of returning to her native New York City. In 1972, she retired from acting and purchased a house in Siler City, North Carolina. Explaining her choice to live in North Carolina, Bavier expressed her fondness for the picturesque landscapes, remarking, "I fell in love with North Carolina, all the pretty roads and the trees." Throughout her life, Bavier remained single and childless. An article by Chip Womack, published in the Courier-Tribune in 1981, highlighted Bavier's active involvement in promoting charitable causes like the Christmas and Easter Seal Societies from her home in Siler City. Additionally, she often took the time to pen inspirational letters to fans who reached out for autographs. Neighbors comes out. Jim Neighbors, known for his role as Gomer Pyle on The Andy Griffith Show, gained immense popularity, leading to his own spin-off show, Gomer Pyle, USMC. Besides his acting, Neighbors showcased his rich baritone singing voice on various variety shows throughout the 1960s and 1970s, often appearing as a guest. He even headlined his own specials in 1969 and 1974, captivating audiences with his talent. Neighbors went on to record numerous albums and singles, with many featuring romantic ballads. In 2013, Neighbors publicly came out as gay and celebrated his long-standing relationship by marrying his partner of 38 years. Reflecting on their journey together, he expressed, "I'm 82 and he's in his 60s, so we've been together for 38 years. I'm not ashamed of people knowing, it's just that it was such a personal thing I didn't tell anybody." Annetta continues acting. Corsott continued her acting career with various roles after her time on The Andy Griffith Show. She portrayed Bumper Morgan's pawn shop owner friend on the series The Blue Knight and took on the character of Irma Howell in the short-lived series Mrs. G Goes to College. Additionally, she appeared as Officer Pete Malloy's girlfriend, Judy, in the TV series Adam 12. Corsott also had a supporting role as head nurse Bradley in the 1980s sitcom House Calls and made several guest appearances on Matlock alongside star Andy Griffith. Furthermore, she stepped into the role of nurse Jessie Brewer in 1977 on the long-running ABC soap opera General Hospital when the regular actress was unable to work due to illness. Corsott returned for 2 reunion shows, 1986's Return to Mayberry and 1993's The Andy Griffith Show Reunion. Throughout her career, she made numerous appearances on various TV shows, including Gunsmoke, Rich Man, Poor Man, and The Runaways. Sadly, she passed away from cancer in 1995 and was laid to rest in Hollywood. Smith lends his voice. Hal Smith was primarily recognized for his portrayal of Otis Campbell, the town drunk, on The Andy Griffith Show. However, he also had a significant presence in voiceover roles, lending his voice to numerous animated characters. He voiced Owl in the original Winnie the Pooh shorts, which were later compiled into the feature film The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Additionally, Smith voiced characters like Uncle Tex on The Flintstones, Goliath in Davy and Goliath, and Flintheart Glomgold and Gyro Gearloose on DuckTales. His voice talents extended to various other animated shows, including The Huckleberry Hound Show, The Quick Draw McGraw Show, The Gumby Show, The Jetsons, Top Cat, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, Clutch Cargo, and Hong Kong Phooey, among others. Moreover, Smith gained recognition as the original voice of John Avery Whittaker in Adventures in Odyssey, a popular radio program. Unfortunately, after his wife Louise passed away in 1992, Smith's health began to decline rapidly. He ultimately succumbed to a heart attack in 1994. A charitable fellow. George Lindsay, known for his role as Gomer Pyle's bumbling cousin, was renowned for his generosity. Over 17 years, he raised more than $1,000 for the Alabama Special Olympics through the George Lindsay Celebrity Weekend and Golf Tournament in Montgomery, Alabama. Additionally, he contributed $50,000 to the Alabama Association of Retarded Citizens and served as head coach for the Winter Games in the Minneapolis, Minnesota Special Olympics national competition. Lindsay's philanthropic efforts extended further as he established and maintained the George Lindsay Academic Scholarships at the University of North Alabama. His contributions to the arts and entertainment industry were recognized with several prestigious awards, including the Governor's Achievement Award from the Alabama Music Hall of Fame in 1995. In honor of his legacy, the state of Alabama named the George Lindsay Highway in Jasper, Alabama, after him. In 1998, Lindsay founded the George Lindsay UNA Film Festival, an annual event held at the University of North Alabama in the spring. He received the Minnie Pearl Lifetime Achievement Award in 1997 and the inaugural Icon Award from the Nashville Association of Talent Directors in 2007. Sadly, he passed away in 2012 at the age of 83. Barney Fife moves in. Although Don Knotts is most famously remembered as Barney Fife on The Andy Griffith Show, he later returned to series television in another memorable role as the wacky yet endearing landlord Ralph Furley on Three's Company, alongside John Ritter. When the original landlords, Helen Roper and her husband Stanley Roper, portrayed by Audra Lindley and Norman Fell respectively, departed the series to star in their own short-lived spin-off, The Ropers, Knotts joined the cast, adding his comedic flair to the show. In addition to his iconic television roles, Knotts made numerous appearances in both television and film cameos. In 1979, his enduring impact on television was recognized when TV Guide ranked him 27 on its list of the 50 greatest TV stars of all time. Andy and Don were bros for life. Andy Griffith and Don Knotts shared a lifelong bond as best friends, with their friendship being of utmost importance to both of them. It all began in New York City when they first collaborated on the Broadway play No Time for Sergeants in 1955. Their friendship endured and strengthened over the years. 5 years after their Broadway stint, they reunited on The Andy Griffith Show, and from that point onward, they were inseparable on and off the screen. When Knotts passed away in 2006 at the age of 81 from lung cancer, Andy was there to bid farewell to his dear friend. Sadly, Griffith himself passed away 6 years later at the age of 86, marking the end of an era for their enduring friendship. And that wraps up today's video. Which behind-the-scenes fact caught you off guard the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating content. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you in the next video. Bye for now.